the camaraderie, even if you're not on like the other coloured teams, because everyone's there for the same thing, whether you're on a different team or not. Team aspect of it, not just being like blues and yellows, but Manby Fat Bournemouth as a team.
Welcome back to the Lose to Win podcast with myself, Josh, Jack, and no Ben this week. Unfortunately, he's not available, but we filled him in with another guest from our Manby Fat Bournemouth community, Mr.
Super
Josh
sub.
Buxton.
Yes, Josh.
How are you, Josh, mate?
I'm good, thanks. Yourself?
Yeah, not too bad. Yeah, we're really glad to have you on, mate. Really good. I know you've been smashing it, and we'll get to how well you've been doing up to date. I think breaking records left, right, and centre.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So we'll come to that. But
I think Ben's gutted to be missing it as well, isn't he?
Yeah, Ben is gutted, to be fair.
Ben was really intrigued to be firing some questions across to you. So we'll do our best to satisfy his curiosity and need of information.
But I've been really looking forward to this, mate. We're really looking forward to this because obviously you've been smashing it. So as much as you can tell us about how you've been doing that will help us maybe and help people in the community. So thanks for coming on. Thanks for giving us your time. And can't wait to get stuck in. How are you then, Josh? How have you been? How's your week been?
It's been all right. There's been a lot of football this week. Obviously, I did the extra session on Sunday with what Harry organised.
The morning. Yeah. How was that getting up Sunday morning? I'm not a Sunday morning guy.
That was interesting. It took a while to wake up and I forgot my football boots. So luckily John Costa helped with that one.
Yeah. He's got about 20 pairs, mate. Every single time I swear he changes them.
Yeah. Suddenly I managed to play
right. Football. Wise. How's your week in general then? You on the train still? Keep going? No let up?
Yeah. I finished. I was on a course last week, so I'm getting a lot more movement in this week now. It's finished. So.
All right. Nice. Yeah. Oh, very good, mate. Very good. How about you, Jack, mate? How you been?
Yes, mate. Good. Yeah, another really busy week in my mad world of work at the moment. My boss, unfortunately, was taken to hospital Sunday evening, which means means my work effectively doubles, which is not the end of the world, but it just makes things a little bit more difficult. But generally really good. Just cracking on really. Football knee seems much better. I'm glad I took that moment Friday night to not play because I couldn't straighten my leg properly. Last Thursday it just started to stiffen up and just didn't feel right, so I didn't want to risk hurting myself any further and played Tuesday night and it was absolutely fine. So that kind of told me that was the right thing to do, listening to my body rather than pushing it too far. Thoroughly looking forward to football this evening. I'm currently sat outside an indoor skate park while my son canes it around on a BMX. So yeah, doing my kind of half-heartedly doing dad duties at the moment. If I disappear and he comes running out with a great big gash out of his head, you know where I've disappeared to.
Well, we'll got him on the pod, mate.
We'll get a live reaction about how he's feeling. But yeah, it's his first time. He usually comes here every weekend on his scooter, but he's got a BMX for his birthday at the beginning of Jan, and he's been desperate to get here. And Thursday nights are bike nights, so I thought, why not? We'll kill two birds in one stone. I can sit in the car and tether with my 5G and let him have a little bit of fun. I'm sure he'll come out absolutely knackered, which is always a good thing. Generally all good, mate. How are you? How many fingers have you hurt this week then?
Just 2 more. It's fine.
I honestly can't believe it. I didn't really realise Tuesday night, but seeing it for the people listening, we do turn our webcams on for this podcast recording, and I spotted them on his fingers. I was like, oh, he must have hurt them again. No, it's the other hand. Go on, Josh, tell us all about it.
Well, I was silly enough to keep playing football with a broken hand. So my right hand's still 3 weeks in to healing. Lovely. Yeah. And I've been playing, as people will know, so far unscathed. On the right hand, anyway. So I managed to silly go in goal for a brief part yesterday, right hand tucked behind my back, and then just put my left hand out for a venomous volley from Robbo from about, 5 yards out. And I stuck my hand out instinctively and it caught my 2 small fingers as it went past. In doing so, bending them back, and I have managed to break my pinky and chip the inside of my forefinger. So yes, that one is now purple and bruised and a little swollen and wrapped up.
Yeah.
So now I've got 2 dodgy hands.
Oh man.
You know, and I am left-handed, so it's a bit unfortunate now it's my left as well.
You got away with it last time. This time it now is a problem. Yeah.
Yeah.
So in terms of work and stuff, I guess you're able just to persevere if you're typing and stuff.
It's not a problem. That kind of thing is typing, using that, that stuff. I'm sedentary most of the time, so that's easy enough behind a computer. But it's more just stupid for playing, really. But in theory, even if my right hand was fine, it still would have happened.
That's what I was going to ask. Do you reckon you might have tried to save it with 2 hands if you weren't conscious of the other hand, or not?
No,
just had no chance.
Because it was literally, as I say, 5 yards out, and he hit it really hard, and I literally just instinctively stuck my arm out. Yeah. Didn't even really think I was going to get close to it, and just got the ball. It would just happen normally, even regardless if I was injured or not. So, in theory, not having a dodgy right hand made no difference to that. It was just unlucky.
Did it hurt at the time?
Yes, instantaneously.
I don't remember. To be fair, mate, I'd be a drama queen about it. I don't even remember you mentioning it. I didn't hear a peep from you. Last time I saw you obviously running around holding your hand, but this time I didn't even know you'd done it. Was it towards the end of the game?
Yeah, it was right near the end, within the last 5 minutes.
That's a killer as well, isn't it? If you think things could have, and we can only blame. You've got 2 people to blame. You got Charlie for getting hurt, and then Robbo for kicking it. But didn't Robbo actually hurt Charlie?
I don't know, mate.
I think he might have been responsible for the kick on Charlie's foot as well.
I just know Charlie came away much worse off than I did. So
Robbo's single-handedly taking people out, and his actions caused you to go in goal because you were 1 player down without a goalkeeper, and you end up hurting your hand there as well. So we've always said Robbo's going to hurt somebody eventually, didn't we? We've said it for years that he's going to hurt somebody, and he's managed to do it 2 nights in a row. Oh, sorry, twice in 1 night. All good fun, mate. Well, rest up, mate. Make sure you don't hurt yourself any further.
It's ultimately whatever risk I'm willing to take, and as you could tell, the risk I was willing to take for playing with my right hand was I'll just play. Yeah. I gave it a week until it was really set and there wasn't any real pain, and then I played. I imagine I'll be much the same lines along with my left as well, but this week is just too soon. So I'm just I could be sensible and listen to people like Steve and say don't play at all, basically. But if I'm really honest, I don't think I can do that for 6 weeks when it's just basically the outside of my hands. It's not really, it just doesn't feel like a.
Are you sitting out tomorrow?
Yes, so I won't be playing tomorrow or tonight, as you're aware, mainly because this is still quite raw, and I really don't, because any movement hurts, so I don't really want to be putting myself, when I'm running, it's like you actually use your hands and arms quite a lot when you run without actually realizing it, so but once it's set and the pain's gone, then I imagine I'll be back. So
the good news is, mate, and I think moving forward, and if anybody is on Josh's team on a Tuesday night or a Thursday night down Little Down, do not let him go in goal. Even when he's healed, don't let him go in goal. Clearly, he has issues with his hands and fingers. Much like me, mate. For that stint I did in Taunton, I think it should both of us are now covered for a fair amount of time. I know it still gets brought up, but that time I did it, went in Taunton. That was my get out of jail free card for the next 6 months, and
that's
you need to do the same.
Time, mate. So you've been wielding
long before your time. That was that was crazy thinking back on that. But yeah, you've got to pass, mate. Nobody let Josh go in goal. That's the rules now. But anyway,
anyway, so that's it for now. I'm all good. It's just it's a frustration, isn't it? It's not like like I'm in a sling or anything like that. That's why it's like, in theory, your life is exactly the same. So it makes really limited difference, apart from a bit of pain here and there. So that's why it feels like I should be out there playing football and I shouldn't be doing anything different. But I've just got to stop myself initially, just for, as the nurse was saying to me, you've only got 2 hands and they got to last you for the rest of your life. You can't, if you break fingers, you can't just keep breaking the same fingers because you're doing the same thing, because otherwise you won't make good use of them for the most of your life.
Exactly, mate. Look after yourself. I presume that you're still going to come down tomorrow and watch, though, are you?
I'll be there to weigh in, and all being good, so I'll be there to weigh in and watch.
Nice.
As normal.
You won't miss any goals tomorrow, since you won't be playing at all. You'll be catching everybody's goals and assists.
People are very good with that though. They are sending me them even when I'm there.
It's good. I like the
you guys are anyway. You're Blues.
Yeah, absolutely we are. We're super competitive with that, I think. But I like how people are buying into it. It makes a difference, doesn't it?
Yeah. What was I going to say? So we should probably move on to the.
Let's do it.
Roundup, should we? I'm just realising that that's something I might want to get to. Is the update for the goals and assists and things like that. So I'll come back to that anyway.
You got something to do then.
yeah. I wasn't prepared for it. Basically, I forgot. So the action on the pitch then was closer than Ange Postecoglou seems to be to the sack, at least for now, with 3 of the 4 games deadlocked. Once the scales were added, though, this last week, there was a definitive winner in all 4 games. So no draws this time, which was a relief, I think, to many. So the Greens won 6-2 against us Yellows. The Reds won 10-9 against your Blues. A close one there. Unlucky guys. What can I say? Yeah, you win some, you lose some as such. It's going to come round at some point. The Whites lost a relatively high-scoring affair against the Oranges, 16-11. And then the Purples won 9-7 against the Blacks. And unfortunately, Ben is not here to tell us about every kick of the ball that went round for that one. I don't know. Did he score again?
I don't know. I didn't hang around. It was a cold evening. So, yeah, I think I was only there because I didn't play either, did I? So I hung around for our game and disappeared.
Well, let us know, Ben, if you're listening, and remind us to mention it next week. Yeah. And that one. Where was I? So there were 2 milestone men this week to celebrate, with Tony Wright of the Reds and Martin Boone of the Purples both joining the 10% club. In each case, the 3-goal swing was enough to snatch victory from the jaws of defeat for their team, which is very good going. The Blacks will feel particularly hard done by to miss out like that, as they were the only team to secure a pitch win in that and then lose the other way around. So also unlucky are the Whites, who scored a score of 11 was enough to beat 6 of the other sides, but not the only team they were actually facing. The Oranges delivered another consistent display, which included no fewer than 7 hat-tricks for their team alone, more than the third of the club's total for the week of 18. So some pretty good going there from the Oranges. For the 3rd week in a row, more than 50 men lost weight, with 57 out of 75 weighing in. The club's total loss, 28.6 kilos, was slightly lower than last week, but it's still a very healthy total and a sign that across the club, we've got men making steady, sustainable progress rather than thrashing themselves for spectacular short-term losses. So let's keep that going, I think.
Yeah,
Once
absolutely.
Again, Oranges enjoyed a clean sweep with 9 losses from 9 who weighed in. 5 other teams, Purples, Blues, Whites, Greens and Reds, all managed 8 of 10 or 7 of 9. Another stat that illustrates the consistency being achieved across the club, which is really, really good to hear. Fantastic. And we are slowly clawing back that overall total back to 0. We're not quite there yet, from what I remember. We're still 30 or so kilos off, I believe, but we're close enough. We're getting there. One more week, hopefully, maybe. So Purples were the biggest losers, shifting 7.2 kilos ahead of the chasing pack consisting of the Blues, well done, 5.4 kilos, and the Oranges, who lost 5 kilos. Whites and Greens both lost 4.7. So relatively consistent across the league there as well. In terms of the tables, Purples lead the main league on 7 points, just 1 more than your Blues, Oranges and Reds. So Whites top the pitch league on 6 points, with Blues and Greens on 5 points, and Yellows and Blacks on 4 points. And Purples have a 100% record of 8 points in the Scales League, but Oranges with 7 and Reds with 6 are just behind. So Oranges plays Purples this coming week in a game with huge significance in at least 2 of the title races, although that's very early to consider title races because we're only into week 5, I believe it is, for now. Mm-hmm. Although it does, as we were saying at the top, it does come by very quickly.
Every week counts as well.
Yeah, as we proves every season. You could look back and say, oh, if only we'd done this, or if only we'd done that. So, I guess it's the chance to make sure you try not to look back and have those moments, isn't it, really? Wherever you can.
Yeah.
We're down to the last 35 in last man standing, with just 5 more exits before the first survivor goals. That may or may not happen this coming week, but there are definitely bonus goals coming to anyone who completes a perfect 4-week run of losses from week 2 to the week 5. So currently there are 26 players in contention for those bonus goals, with at least two from every team. So some glut of goals coming this week.
Yes.
The top scorers list is still dominated by players who had milestones hanging over from last season. So Matt Waterman leads on 11 points, with yourself, Josh, behind on 9 points, and James Hunt on 8 points are close behind. So another one. Have you hit your? Maybe we'll get to this. Maybe I should ask you later. But you've hit your maximum milestones for this season already, haven't you?
Yeah, I did in the first week. Yeah.
Oh, Jesus. Oh, is it because you had one over and then you?
Yeah, and
you
then
have
hit
two
the next
carried
one.
over. Oh,
yeah, I had one carried over and hit the next one on the first week.
Jesus, I don't like that system. I think we've agreed now. We're not a massive fan of that system,
not,
but I can see why they do it. But I know you, Josh, mate. You'll keep going and smash through the next ones anyway. So
we're obviously the Blues are massively in Josh's debt for his hard work, but any milestones from here on out, there's a chance they mean fuck all for us because we'll be changing teams next season. So it's we've milked Josh dry now. We've got everything we can out of him. We just need those weight loss every week and keep him in last man standing and all that sort of thing. But he is his blue milestone era is, well, he might be a blue next season, but his blue milestone era, as we know we are at the moment, is over, which is incredible, mate. So wow, just incredible. And we'll come to that, but yeah, you've contributed so much to the team, mate. Well done.
Cheers.
None of those can score any further milestones, as we mentioned, by the way, this season.
There we go.
That includes Matt Waterman and James Hunt already, which leaves a door open for someone else to catch up. The amazing loser race this week saw Tony Wright, with 5.73% lost, slip past yourself, Josh, who's lost exactly 5% this season. Paul Harding with 4.39%, James Hunt with 4.21%, and James Scott with 4.17% head of the chasing pack. So a close one there. Liam Dancer leads team of the week with a huge loss of 3.7 kilos. He's one of a handful in the side who were absent last week, meaning that his total represents 2 consistently good weeks rather than one extreme one, which makes it all the more impressive, really. Last week's top dog, Tony Wright, is the only player to retain his place in this week's team. So, as we mentioned, Liam Dancer leads with 3.7 kilos. Then we've got Kyle Dyson with 2.8 kilos, Martin Boone with 2.3 kilos, Paul Whittingham with 1.9 kilos, James Hunt with 1.7 kilos, Ryan Broadbent with 1.6 kilos, Tony Wright, Josh Buxton, yourself, mate, and Ruben Fernandez all lost 1.5 kilos this week. So another strong week by those above and across the league. But we've still got, as I mentioned, 36.5 kilos to go before we've wiped out the Christmas deficit. And most teams are still working their way back into credit. So let's allow ourselves a brief moment to celebrate a great week and then crack on with more good choices to deliver another one tomorrow, or today, I should say, for those listening.
Yeah.
There you go.
Sick. Yeah, well done, everybody. That's and well done the 2 milestone guys as well. That there's a little bit of a lull with them at the moment, and I think there's a bit of a lag, like the Christmas lag and whatever else going on. So I'm sure that's going to start turning around quickly. I foresee some big numbers, definitely some big goals this week. If there's even without the chance of it dropping to last man standing, we've got people that have had a perfect season so far. They'll get some extras and that sort of thing. So it's exciting. See what happens.
Yeah. I should just give you an update then on the belt challenge bids.
Yes.
Which, by the way, conclude for round 1 this week. So today, whatever your weigh-in is total between weeks 2 and the weigh-in for this week's 5 is the end of the round. Now,
we'll
admittedly,
our first champions.
Yes, the difficulty for me is the fact that I'm not going to know that until after the event.
Yeah.
And so I'm not sure what the best way is to give you your title belts to hold aloft. Whether it's the week, bring them along to the week after, and you just keep hold of them.
so.
I think that's probably the best way to do it.
And they keep them for the next 5 weeks, basically, don't they? Is it
Until,
5 again we're doing?
Before
4 this time one. Yeah. Okay, right. Cool. That makes sense.
So,
Get a photo with them, holding them aloft. We just got to work out how we're going to get names on it, and we I'm sure we can find somewhere.
This is where I put a disclaimer again about they are brilliant. I love the idea of the belts, but they are like children's sized belts, so they're not unfortunately going to engulf guys like us. But
might fit a few heads, not necessarily waists.
But they're. I think it's a good thing altogether.
Yeah,
so
it's great
where
fun.
are we with that? So the lightweight category. Gareth Hensby has a strong lead in that category. He's lost 4.1 kilos this season so far, so he is leading that at the moment. Then behind, James Hunt has got 2.9 kilos lost, and then Ryan Puttick has got 2.6 kilos lost in the lightweight category.
Ryan.
Then in the middleweight, we have a tie for the top spots so far, and the third place or second place just very close behind. So it's a 3-way chance for toss up for this middleweight. James Scott and Paul Harding have both lost 4 kilos.
Yeah,
exactly. And then Liam Dancer has lost 3.7, the exact number he lost this week from his 1 week, or his 2 weeks of absenteeism. Yeah. So the heavyweight category then. Ryan, there's only 0.3 in it. So Ryan Broadbank currently leads with 3.5 kilos.
Yes,
lost.
Ryan.
3.3 kilos just behind Kyle Dyson of the Purples. And then yourself, Josh. You have lost 3.2 kilos so far this season. So far I say not total in this season, I should say in this round. I should have really clarified that in this round, so this last 3-4 week round. With 3.2. So very close, mate.
Sweet.
Yeah, the title belt is on.
I'll have to run more tonight.
The heavyweight belt is yours. Yours for taking, potentially. You've got to beat out Ryan and Kyle for this week's weight loss to earn it, essentially. So
sweet.
What do you think? Good week, you reckon?
Yeah, it's been a good week.
Yeah.
You
just don't know until you get to the scale, do you?
That's the thing.
No. It could be 1.5, it could be 2.5, who knows? But the difference is going to make a difference. 1.5 or 1.6 will make a difference potentially for this belt.
Yeah.
So we'll see. Mate, well, best of luck.
Cheers.
And to everyone else
as a disclaimer, it's probably fair we tell Ryan Broadbank that we've had this conversation and told you how close it is, because if he's going for it as well, that will spur him on too for tomorrow. Is maybe one less drink or whatever he's going to do tomorrow to make sure he does well too. So sick there, mate. Well done, everyone. I'm glad people are interested in it, and I'm sure once it gets going and people see those belts turn up and the photos get shared of them holding them aloft, it will spark some interest and some more competitiveness amongst you.
Yeah. What was I going to say? So, moving on then to the pitch stuff.
Yeah.
And this is where I must admit freely, I'm pretty confident I've updated it. But this is the thing with the belts as well, because I did it Saturday morning. I'm sure I did it Saturday morning, almost as soon as it changed. So from the information I was given. So Dom and Ollie both have 5 goals this season. We're leading the pack. Then Jordan Jogs have 4. And then there's a glut of 3. So George Howe, Alex Jones, Rob Hodge and Sid Wolford all have 3 goals this season.
Yeah. I think you have updated them then, because Jordan didn't score on Friday night. He probably should have done, but didn't score on Friday night. And I think he said to me at that point, he said, that's a couple of players going to go ahead of me from that point. So I think you have updated them.
Yeah. So Ruben Fernandez and Harry Reid have 4 assists this season. Jordan Hayter has 3, along with Mike Pearce and John Costa, also on 3. And then a glut of 2. So Dom, yourself, Jack, Ryan Broadbank, Lewis and Craig all have 2 assists this season so far. That does leave Jordan and Dom at the top on 7 goal involvements total.
Yeah.
That's them. with Ruben, Harry, and Ollie on 6, and Jogs on 5.
Mm.
So there you go. As I say, I don't know if anyone's going to hit 15.
No, we'll see. I
this
think
season.
a few hat tricks will be needed to do it. I reckon.
Yeah.
You've scored a couple of
goals
goals, haven't you, Joshy, for us?
Yeah.
You're on 2, aren't you?
2 and 2 now.
2 and 2. There we go.
Yeah.
A deadly first-time shot, so nobody's expecting. I love it.
I put everyone off for the last season thinking I can't shoot. So now that
Fair play.
Anyway, so that's the update on the pitch side of things as well. So all to play for there. This time I will try and think about something small just to get for the end of the season for that one. And then we'll go into a new rotation anyway.
Yeah,
should be interesting.
that's going to be
Teams
interesting.
mixed up.
We need to sort out the end of rotation party, Josh. I keep thinking about it, and we haven't done anything about it yet. But everybody listening, we plan on doing. If you weren't involved last time, we plan on doing an end of rotation kind of presentation evening where Steve, instead of doing it on a Friday night, will do it at the Saturday night in an evening. We'll have a DJ, which is normally Dangerous, our very own Dangerous. Hopefully some prizes. That's the one thing I definitely need to get moving on. We'll start asking some local charities. If you work for a business or have your own business and would like to contribute or have the ability and the relationship with the purse holders at your business to ask them if they'd like to contribute towards charity, we'll confirm very shortly what charity it'll be. It's probably going to be Dorset Mind again or something along those lines. And obviously all the money will go to a good place, and also you'll have an opportunity to buy tickets for some pretty spectacular prizes. Last time round, the main prizes were some signed boxing gloves by Chris William Smith, 55-inch TV, I think, 50-inch. George will tell us, George Howe will tell us, because he took it home. He managed to squeeze him and the TV in his Corsa on the way home, which was a very funny photo. And amongst some other stuff, some incredible donations from the community, rounds of golf, and also some booze and some all sorts of bits and pieces. So yeah, I'd like to go bigger and better this time round. It is difficult for asking stuff, and I don't mind sending out spam emails to local businesses asking for stuff. But if anybody works for somebody or has their own business and are interested in donating, get in touch and we'll tell you how to do it.
Indeed. Very
Sweet.
good. Looking forward to that. Last one was a great hit.
It was a thoroughly enjoyable night. I probably drank a little too much.
Well, you and Ben
I think that was
mic.
I think that was
during the raffle was hilarious.
I think it became entertaining for other people. Not that I was doing it being funny. I think it was just hilarious how I wasn't able to handle my drink that evening. But yeah, it's I aim to please. I'm happy to do it again if I must. Anyway, is that all of the stuff, Josh? I think
it is all.
We're rounded up quite nicely there. So obviously, Josh Buxton, we have you as a guest. I know that you're a regular listener, but for people that aren't, we like to learn a little bit about you. We will do a bit of deep dive into your weight loss journey and how things are going with Man v Fat, which is obviously going very well. But also we want to learn a little bit about you as a football fan. So we have had a few kind of non-football-y fans on, but as me and Josh both know, your football interests and stuff, we will share that with the listeners as well. So do you want to kick us off and tell us who do you support?
Unfortunately, Manchester United these days.
Yeah, these days, like me then. Just whichever one, or pick one.
Absolutely, yeah.
Good man. Good man.
In terms of it, I think you're right there. I think you're going through some tough times, but there's football. There's moments in time in football, isn't there? I think you're in a moment in time. I think a cycle, and there is what seems to be a pretty slippery slope to get you back to where you need to be. But I don't doubt that in the next 10 years we'll see the glory back to Man United. They're just such.
That's generous.
I think it's possible. I genuinely think it's possible. I do. I think you're such a powerhouse, and whilst you remain that financial powerhouse, which you are, profitable club and commercial revenue you're able to pull in, you've always got a chance. You just got to find the right people to run that place. I think you've got a very good manager in place. I just don't think the people running it have got much of a clue or really are the right people to bring it on. Something you two will probably know better than most as fans of it. And who's your favourite player for Man United, past or present?
It's going to have to be Rooney.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
Great shout.
I grew up watching Rooney, so it has to be him.
Yeah. Any standout moments from Rooney that kind of... He's had loads, isn't he, obviously?
The volley against Newcastle where he went from arguing with the ref for 1 second and then pinging a 35-yard volley.
Yeah. Absolutely berating the referee, wasn't he?
Yeah.
And
It kind of summed him up, that, didn't it, really?
Yeah,
absolutely, yeah. He didn't celebrate too much either. I think he did turn around and give the ref a little bit more and then went and celebrated. I think he turned around and kind of gave him a final bit of piece of his mind and then went on to celebrate. Yeah, I just off the top of my head, some memorable moments. You've got his bicycle kick against City. That was in the FA Cup, was it? I think it was. I don't think it was a league game.
I don't know. That's an unbelievable thing to say.
I think it might be. My memory's not so great on these sort of things, but I'm sure it was. He did the boxing celebration with that one, didn't he? He kind of did.
Yes.
Yeah. He did like the knockout thing because he got beaten up that week by Phil Bardsley, I think, if I remember correctly, and it was all in the paper and getting knocked out by him. And what a player for England as well. Like, just again, a player that I wasn't overly keen on for club, but loved him for country.
Yep.
Naturally, not being a United fan, but yeah, he was class.
I think I know that people say how great Rooney was, and there's some people you do there, but I still think he's actually a little underrated. I think people still kind of have this little bit of I don't know, not a bias against him, but I don't think they quite realise what we had until he's now been retired for a while.
Yeah.
I just don't think. Okay, as a manager, that's questionable. But as a player,
but you can't question his love for football to still be throwing himself back into management. He's had he's had a tough time with it, isn't he? And he's just, I heard him on the Rest is Football or Stick to Football podcast, whatever it is, and he's like, I'd take on another job tomorrow, and I love that because bear in mind he was so far away from home. The cleaning, the kids didn't move down, and probably rightfully so because he didn't last very long. Like, he didn't buy a property down there, but to be that committed to it, there's an admiration there of that, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So how did you come to support Man United there, mate? Because
my grandparents were Manchester United fans, and they lived all over the country, so I'm assuming at some point they lived up north.
We like to think that, don't we?
Yeah.
We just like to think, they're from Manchester, it's fine.
Yeah, I'm justifying it that way.
Fair enough. Yeah, I was just curious because honestly, for me, it came from my dad. I've said this a million times. So just that's what it is. And when you're a kid, and he's like, I've got photos of him trying to kick a ball to me when I'm like barely stand, so I can tell that he's obviously. So you can't. It's impressionable, and you're very impressionable at that age. So I've grown up with Man United basically, and then when I grew a conscience and started to understand that there is more than Manchester United, I've started to branch out. So
I do like non-league stuff as well. Like I follow Eastleigh in the Panorama a lot because I used to live in Southampton, so I'd go and watch them.
Brilliant!
A fair bit. So I like my non-league stuff too.
Yeah, I was actually thinking I should really get down to some Poole Town games. Genuinely, as much as I can.
Wimborne Town as well.
Yeah. I'm not sure. Pool's probably my.
They are your local one. Yeah,
local. I've lived around there for ages. So,
a lad that plays for my son's Sunday League team, his dad is the record goal scorer for Poole Town. He doesn't play anymore. He's retired now. But he turned up the first training session. He was like, I don't know if you've heard of me. It sounds super arrogant. He was like, I said, oh, do you used to play football? He said, yeah, I played Poole Town for a long time. He said, I'm the record goal scorer for him. I was like, wow. And he's like, I was always called, he said, I was always called King Karim. And I Googled, naturally, he told me about it. So I Googled it, and he is considered an absolute god. Like, he is the all-time record goal scorer for Poole Town, and was just a lethal animal. And his son's a striker, and his son's almost as tall as him now, so a very different type of striker. I'd refer to it very similar to like Liam Delap. He just bulldozes his way through people, but he is lethal, and you can see that like inherited in him, that he's got that desire to win and that desire to score goals. But yeah, he always bangs on about it. He played in a charity game recently. One of their players, I think, you might know better than me, but one of their players, I think, has got motor neuron disease or something similar to that. So there was a massive charity game. I think they played against Hamworthy or something along those lines, but serious amount of money raised. But yeah, it's non-league football is kind of like the salt of the earth with that sort of thing, isn't it? You don't have to worry about VAR. You can celebrate a goal when it goes in. I know you can with League One and League Two and Championship, but yeah, there's something special about non-league football. You do see some utter shit, but you do also see some proper raw, some proper raw football.
I always think if, like, I know it's different, but I always think, imagine if we were fit and young, like based on any of our ability in the league. You've got players in the ability. Do you reckon any will play for that level of non-league football or higher? Or, you know, I always think that sometimes. I think to myself, imagine if we were all fit and young and kind of, would any of us even get to that level? Or is it just people don't quite understand how high a level you need to get to? It's hypothetical really, but just...
Yeah.
There's definitely some people around Man v Fat Bournemouth I reckon probably could. I mean,
yeah.
Dom destroys me anytime I try to tackle the ball off him.
He does that to most, to be fair. Dom's
does.
technical ability is unreal. He got jogs and a few others.
Yeah, if only he had a right foot though, innit? Yeah. He says this himself, so I'm not saying anything he hasn't heard before.
Yeah, well,
but it's the same with everyone, innit? Everyone's weak foot is no guy, so it's very weak. Not everyone, obviously, but I can only speak for myself when I say that. Really interesting. I just a random thought. I don't know, just kind of got to it. Anyway, Josh, I want a quick question. And what are you thinking about the current state of Man United? Then, what are you thinking? What are you feeling? What's your expectation, if any?
A dark depression. I'm going to miss Rashford because he started for the academy with us, but then I'm not going to miss Rashford because I also think he's almost brought the team down in a sense the last year because of he always seems so negative on the pitch.
Yeah, his attitude, isn't it?
Yeah, his attitude.
It's outward attitude anyway. He doesn't. Yeah. He feels like the kind of player who, unfortunately, has started to, what's the term? Drink his own Kool-Aid a little bit. You know, he's got to that stage where I think he realises he's a Manchester boy. He is Manchester United, essentially. I don't think he ever felt like any manager who came in would do anything other than just play him. Because of who he is. And I'm not saying he's lazy. It's just, it's one of these things. But you just hear reports of his training attitude not being very good. And if I'm honest, that doesn't surprise me.
No,
based on his pitch attitude, at least what I believe. So, I wish him all the best, though.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. Hopefully, he does well at Aston Villa and finds his enjoyment for it again.
I think he needs a fresh get out of Manchester kind of start, doesn't he? I think there's so 100%. Much pressure.
Yeah.
Anyway, top 10, maybe. What do you reckon, Josh? Top 10? Sounds like a ridiculous thing to ask, isn't it, for Manchester United? But that's the thing.
Yeah.
Don't know. Maybe not. I don't know. I reckon they'll stay basically where they are. And if I'm really honest, that wouldn't be out of place for what they are at the moment, is it? I mean, there's still a chance they can win another FA Cup.
Yeah. I think we've got an outside chance of the Europa League unless Tottenham decide to turn up.
They're not winning it, are they, Spursy?
There's a few teams floating, aren't they? I think Chelsea's win against West Ham on Monday night pushes them back into almost guaranteed to get Europe of whatever that may be, probably Champions League, but in that kind of bracket. But you've got a few that are really going for it, and Bournemouth, I know we've mentioned before, but Bournemouth are right in amongst it, and even after losing to Liverpool at the weekend, they're still 7th.
Yeah.
Like, they didn't move, and they were lucky that everybody else bar Chelsea around them didn't pick up points or didn't get the wins that they needed. Newcastle lost to Fulham, There's a few other weird results in there, and if Chelsea had lost to West Ham on Monday night, that would have been like the perfect weekend for them, bar them winning. So it's going to be very interesting, and it's going to take a hell of a push for somebody like you or Spurs to get back in that. You'd need to win everything from here out, I reckon.
Yeah, and that does not look like happening, does it, Josh? Really honest.
No.
I just hope,
inconsistent.
Yeah, exactly. I just hope they finally stick with the manager, like, and like they do nothing. Let's just say they could be in the Championship, and I'd be like, you just got to keep hammering. Don't care. You just got to keep him. Because the one thing they just keep doing is, and there was a lot of complaining. I don't know if you're on fan forums and that, Josh, but there's a lot of complaining from fan forums, obviously by the nature that we're not doing any January business, or not really any serious January business. But then you've got Amorim coming out and saying, well, we just don't want to repeat the same mistakes. We've got to be much more sensible, which any average fan would say that's a good thing. But then they complained about the fact that we're not getting any players in or not spending loads of money. Yeah. It's like, you can't just keep chucking money at it all the time.
No, I mean, I'm interested in Dorgu and seeing how he does, especially now Luke Shaw's injured for another 4 weeks.
I think I said on the pod, didn't I? Say as soon as we sign him, Luke Shaw's back in training, and it's just hilarious. Yeah. But he just can't stay fit. I love him, but he can't stay fit.
He's so good, but so injury prone.
Yeah, they used to say about Jack Wilshere, who's a professional hospital patient with an injury blighted by football. And I think Luke Shaw is very similar. So much talent, like still up there as the country's best left back, but just got to get game time, isn't he? He's got to get fit, and he's got to change whatever he's doing. It's not working, but often injuries lead to injuries, don't they?
Oh, well, you say that about Reece James. He's the one who keeps getting injured all the time. He's so brilliant, so good,
naturally talented. Yeah,
and of course, as soon as Mason Mount's come from Chelsea, he's been non-stop injured. He hasn't played a single game basically.
That's crazy, isn't it? Did you get him on a free? Because he's
contract 50 million for the guy.
Yeah, 52 million.
I thought his contract ran out. Then you have really been stiffed, didn't you?
I don't know what it is with left backs in long periods out though, because you think Malacia was out for over a year. Now Shaw hasn't played for us in a year.
Yeah. Didn't they just get rid of Malacia as well, and they sent him out on loan as well?
Yeah, he's on loan.
So he disappeared for that long, and then
that Dorgu guy's going to get a lot of minutes.
Yeah.
And now Martinez has torn his ACL, so he's out for probably 6 months.
My heart bleeds. My heart.
Yeah, I know you
bleeds.
don't give a shit, but honestly, he's brilliant for us. I don't like, especially left centre back. Like, I don't, that's not good. That Aiden Heaven we got from you, though.
Yeah, he's class,
mate. He's going to end up playing.
Rush straight in. Yeah,
he's going to play left centre back, mate. He's going to have to play.
He's a good player, but he's pretty raw. He's not played a lot of football, first team football, that is.
I don't care.
We'll see. Yeah, just need.
Play the people who run the most and want to put the effort in for the team. I would start people like Toby Collier in the middle. He's like the first name on the team sheet. I'd be like, because he does everything. Like, he's just going to run. That's why Ahmad's in the team non-stop, because the guy he's brilliant, but he just non-stop. Puts all the effort in. So I'd rather play like a first team full of academy than.
I'm surprised we haven't tried to bring through Harry Amas.
Yeah.
For the left side, because obviously we've needed it for so long, but I'm guessing he's not doing something right to get pulled through.
Yeah. Oh well. Anyway, I think we should leave that part there, mate, and get onto your Man v Fat part. That's what you're here for, really. We don't want to keep talking about Man United, do we really? No. So, kind of an icebreaker on the weight side of things for you.
Yep.
What's your, if you don't mind me telling us, obviously, what's your history with weight? Like, in terms of, have you always struggled with your weight? Have you recently gained a bit of weight and you felt you need to take it off? What's the kind of history, mate?
I've always struggled. I've had periods of time where I've lost weight and then I've put more back on, and then. It's always been something that I've struggled with massively.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah. It's just from when you were a kid as well, like when growing up, and is it more of a?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I came out of the womb like a bread roll. I've just been constantly like it.
Sorry, that's quite funny. Yeah. Okay, fair enough. Yeah, so I guess is that something you get from it's not family. Family's not the right word. I always say this for me. Like I've always quite athletic when I was young, but the eating habits were not very good in my family. So so as in when you stop being less active and you get a little bit older and your metabolism slowed down, I started putting on weight, and ever since I've struggled to take it off. So I don't know if it was similar for you, mate. I'm just not trying to put words in your mouth. I'm just more,
No, I mean, I've always been reasonably big. I mean, I played football a lot when I was younger, and then put a decent amount of weight on back in like the back end of my teenage years and stuff like that. But I guess one of the key things was I did night shift for a long time, and I got heavily addicted to like energy drinks and Lucozade and things like that. So the amount of sugar and carbs I was inhaling every night was just unbelievable. So I put a lot on over them years.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, I full sugar Coca-Cola was my thing. Just drank it, honestly drank it by the litre. When I was at uni, just doing 16 hours behind a computer, 17, 18 hours, you just drank it non-stop. Yeah. Fair enough, mate. Yeah. You mentioned, I was about to ask you if you played football before, but obviously you say you played football quite a bit when you were younger then. So have you got any particular history with that as well? Or you just,
believe it or not, you wouldn't believe it now, but I used to be a goalkeeper.
Fair enough.
Really?
You wouldn't believe that now based on
goal
what
for the
I'm
11s,
liking up.
mate. You shouldn't have said that.
Nah.
Get you in goal all the time.
No, I'm awful in goal on the little down, let alone anything like that.
Fair enough. Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Very cool.
I think because it was at least running.
Fair enough.
At least
it's
you're
always
honest, mate.
There's a stigma about goalkeepers, and it doesn't really work for us lot, does it? Because it was always just put the big guy in goal, but we're all the big guy, aren't we? So it doesn't quite work like that. We all get a chance to have a run around. I for one absolutely hate it, and I know we joked earlier about it, but it takes a special breed to be a goalkeeper, and fair play to anybody that does it, and especially the ones that do it well. I just can't.
I just can't
not
weirdly got over that.
Probably.
Yeah, I've still not weirdly got over that whole thing about chucking myself to the ground voluntarily.
Yes.
And it just in the back of my head, I never dive. It's not like I wouldn't be able to. I mean, I'm on the floor often enough. If you just get tackled or something, you can fall on the floor.
Yeah.
And it doesn't hurt per se. For some weird reason, when I'm voluntarily trying to go for something, I never really thought about diving. But
no, fuck that.
So
I always find myself using my feet anyway.
Yeah.
Trying to get your feet or legs in there. I think it's just natural, isn't it?
Yeah, I tend to watch the ball as it just flies past me.
Fair enough.
Nothing you could do. Shout at defenders, Jordan Pickford style. Just shout absolutely everyone in front of you.
So, in terms of obviously you've been with us. This is your second full season, isn't it?
Yeah.
You came straight into the Blues. We refer to it as the end of the Luke era. So you've witnessed Luke's time with us, or the back end of it, and you've just come on leaps and bounds since, haven't you? In terms of finding out about it, where did you hear about Man v Fat? What got you into it?
I was literally just scrolling through YouTube videos on other football things, and it came across the actual Man v Fat YouTube channel.
Okay.
They don't post a massive amount on there, but I saw a couple of videos and then decided I wanted to give it a go, really.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah.
It takes some courage. Sorry, Josh. It takes some courage, especially if you don't have somebody you already know as part of the club, or you haven't been recommended, just to go, this is what looks like a good idea. I'm just going to bring myself down. How daunting was that?
Oh, it was scary because I'm not from the area, so I don't know anyone. Potentially know anyone that would go that I didn't even know about. So completely out of my comfort zone, but I'm glad I did.
Yeah. We are too, mate. We definitely are too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sorry, Josh, what were you going to say?
Well, exactly what you asked, basically. Did you have any real reservations about it? But I guess as you've eloquently put it, I guess, do you struggle to make that step, or was it just, I'm going to have to do something? Was there any particular reason that you were like, I have to do something, or was it just, I like the idea of this?
So at my heaviest, I was pushing 200 kilos. So I was at the point where I was going that I'm in a real danger zone here, that if I don't do something soon, I'm just going to end up getting to a place where I really can't come back from. And I thought, why not try and combine it with something I enjoy, which was the football, and try and lose weight pretty consistently that way, because I think I have tried things like Slimming World and stuff before, and I think the group element helps, but you have to have the right people around. And if it's a group of blokes playing football each every week and we're losing weight at the same time, I think that's definitely a key.
Yeah, absolutely. You obviously joined us Blues, and I think straight away the fact that we've got three brothers and it makes things easier to kind of connect with people, I think, because you've got the ability to. We were super welcoming. We all were very familiar with each other already. In terms of how you settled in, less of a question, more from our perspective. I think you've settled in so well, regardless of what you've done on and off the pitch. Just being around somebody that's consistently there is what everybody wants in a teammate. Both Joshes, I'm sure you agree. You want somebody that's going to be there every week and give everything they can, regardless of if it's 100 grams off or it's you haven't scored a goal. It's turning up that makes a big difference, and having somebody there as somebody you can consistently talk with and talk to, it does make such a difference.
Yeah. How did you? So you joined when? Can you remind me when this was? Do you know a date in your mind? Do you know when your first week was?
My first week,
Roughly.
I think, was the 9th of August.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, so
I think
6 months ago now, basically.
Yeah.
Oh, very okay. How was your first game? What did you feel like when you turned up on the night? Because obviously it's just a bunch of big guys who you've never met before playing football. I know you said you were kind of bricking it on some level, but you didn't really know anyone. But what was it like when you actually got there, and what was your first game like? How do you feel?
I fell over in my first game against you guys.
Well, yeah, that's not uncommon though, is it really?
No,
Everyone
genuinely
happens.
It happens all the time. It's just kind of because you've got that nature. Clearly you've played football before, but you have that nature, and your brain is not recognizing that your body can't do what it thinks it used to do.
Yeah.
And your body moves too quick for your legs, and you just go on, aren't you? We see it so often, and you throughout your journey, you'll go, I remember that moment. But the beauty of it, you remember that moment, and when you have that conversation with that new person that joins your new team, that whoever you're with next season, you can go, look, I can relate that happened to me. Don't worry about it, that sort of thing. And it's so important that you have people around you that can pick you up like that and have that. Not physically pick you up, you have to do that yourself, but they can pick you up and just kind of say, don't worry about it, these things happen. But I remember it well, mate, and you've come on so much. Again, I know it's difficult, and I know people want to tune in for a loving pod, but honestly, how much you've come on technically as well, and your confidence is the big thing. Football is confidence, isn't it? I'm sure all three of us agree. 100%. And you thrive off that. You walk off the pitch if you've had a good game or you bagged a goal, and you can't wait to get back on the pitch again next Friday. And then if you can start doing Tuesdays and Thursdays, that confidence rolls and rolls and rolls. It can go the other way as well. The lack of confidence can be a hindrance and make things difficult, even at kick around level that we do, and all the way up to we always talk about strikers with confidence, don't we? And they dip in and out of it. It makes such a difference, and you've come on so far and just helped so much with the team. It's so good.
Yeah. How did you feel after your first game then, mate? Do you felt like you struggled getting into it? Did you find it easy, hard? How did you feel coming away from it?
I think
because obviously you stuck around, so
yeah. The first few weeks, that back end of that season, were really difficult in terms of like finishing the game and wheezing. Just because getting used to running again. But you can feel it each week becoming just a fraction easier. Every little bit more that comes off, and every little bit more you start running and moving about more, it just becomes that fraction easier every week, and it becomes manageable almost.
Yeah.
It was all right.
What was your kind of first impression of the group and the community and that? How did you?
For bigger guys, some of the technical ability is nuts.
Well, yeah, but my next question was basically what surprised you most about the league and the community when you joined? And so I guess technical ability is one thing that people do say. I think they're quite surprised by it. Was there anything else?
The camaraderie, even if you're not on like the other coloured teams and things like that, like everyone still is pushing you because everyone's there for the same thing, whether you're on a different team or not. It's the team aspect of it not just being like blues and yellows, but Man v Fat Bournemouth as a team.
Yeah.
And I think that's massive, and a credit to everyone there, because everyone there is helping everyone else get to where they need to be.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, you obviously stuck around, so you've obviously found something you like about it. How long have you been in then, a Man v Fat then? So as you say, August is about 6 months. Is that about correct? I think we said.
Yeah, 5-6 months. Yeah.
Yeah. And how have you done then? Let's get to some down to brass tacks as such. What's the numbers, mate? Hit us. Where did you start firstly?
194.1 I started on.
Okay.
Yeah,
that's,
and then
that's quite impressive number, to be honest. I'm not going to lie, mate.
Yeah,
not in a bad way. Just yeah.
Yeah, it was a pretty tasty number.
Yeah. Where are you then, mate? Now.
After Friday, I was down to 150.1.
Wow.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, exactly 44.
44 kilos.
Yeah.
In old money, what does that look like in stone and pounds? Do you know that?
It's exactly £99.
Wow.
So,
there we go.
Yeah.
Now, I'm really sorry. Fucking hell.
That is so good, mate. So good.
Wow.
So the obvious question for us and others listening, I've got an insight to it, but what's worked for you? What are you doing off the pitch to make this work?
So the way I do it is Saturdays I don't track calories at all. I kind of get everything out that I want to eat. I want to eat whatever I want to eat. I'll eat essentially. I have a blowout essentially, and then Sunday I'm back on it, and I'm strict with myself all the way through till Friday again. So I satisfy any cravings and stuff that I have or I've had in the week on that Saturday, and then I know as soon as Sunday comes around, straight back to doing what I need to do. Amazing.
And in terms of like the binge on the Saturday, do you think that's reduced as you've gone along as well? Do you think your appetite has shrunk? You're eating less on that
massively,
binge?
Yeah, even like on a cheat meal on a Friday evening, like I know some people get their Burger Kings and stuff. I'll get my shish kebab from the local kebab shop, and I can't even finish that anymore.
Yeah. And that's shish kebab's not too bad anyway, really. It's grilled chicken, isn't it? So
grilled chicken, yeah.
It's not necessarily the worst thing you're ever going to eat either. So yeah.
I mean, it is from a kebab shop, lads. Let's not.
It's still grilled chicken, though, isn't it?
Yeah, I know.
Chicken's chicken. It might be some places might be serving up rat, but yeah, grilled chicken's grilled chicken. That's so good, mate. And I know from conversations in our group, and I don't want to kind of tell your story for you, but you also have you're a bit of a kind of ready meal connoisseur or calorie controlled ready meal connoisseur now, and you've tried them, pretty much all of them.
Yeah. Me and Harry are talking about it a lot and comparing who's eating what pretty much, but I highly rate the ready meals. I know some people don't like what's in them and things like that, but there's some of them, especially if you're a bit more well off than others. M&S do some really good ones that they don't have many ingredients in, but the value is still there. But it makes it so much more easy to track your calories.
Yeah.
And it makes life easier as well, because a lot of people don't want to get home from being to work all day and try and cook a healthy, substantial meal that's going to not ruin their week.
Yeah.
Or try and figure out what to have for lunch at work, where you're only getting like 20 minutes, half an hour to figure it out. So the ready meals are definitely something I'm keen on.
Is that quite a drastic change from what you used to be then for you? Is it you've slowly, subtly changed things over time, or you just immediately was like, okay, I've got to be more strict now, and you've just kept to it?
It was a drastic change. Like before I got onto this, I could I work essentially. I work in an industrial estate, so at the end of the road of where we are, there's a snack shack. I'd get food delivered from that snack shack about 300 yards down the road to my work, because I wouldn't go and walk to get it. Like the change is not comparable to where I used to be.
Yeah, fair enough. So I was about to ask you, how have you got to the stage where you're losing this weight? Obviously, calorie control is one of them, and the ready meals you mentioned. Is there anything else that you've done, or is it
I push myself to do 10,000 steps a day.
Okay. Yeah.
whether that if that's not through like natural walking, I'll do like even like marching on the spot. If like I've got a desk day, so I said in the Blues chat the other day, like on my course in the breaks, I'd stop, like obviously have my webcam off, and I just march on the spot for a bit and get some steps in that way. I think everything helps.
Yeah, it's a good idea, really. I've been looking to try and get a standing desk. I really need to get something like that sorted, really, to be honest, mate. Deliberately, so I'm not sitting all the time. I straighten my posture a bit. But then also, as you're saying, you can, if I got a standing desk, I can start marching on the spot a bit more.
You can buy those walk pads as well, can't you? You could literally just buy like
little tiny. I mean, little tiny treadmill thingies.
Yeah, basically, just not something that's got super quick speed on it, but it's also not gonna, especially if you're house sharing in your situation, Josh, you're not rattling the whole house for everybody else while you're pounding away on it. But I've seen those advertised all the time. It makes such a difference, doesn't it?
Yeah. Well, I mean, obviously, I can't make the excuse that a standing desk is going. I need a standing desk before I can start this. Don't get me wrong, by the way. I really should be doing this before that. But it would make things easier because I'd still be able to work and still, keep myself upright and start walking while I'm doing it a little bit more.
Yeah.
But,
so, in terms of your records, Josh, obviously, other Josh mentioned at the beginning that you're a record breaker for us in terms of the league. So, as far as I'm aware, you might be able to point me if I'm wrong. I think you've got the record for the most consecutive appearances in Team of the Week, I should say.
I think so. If that was the amount of Team of the Weeks in a season, I think.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
How many was it last season? So you've had the back end of one season, the full season, and now the start of another. So it's about 20 weeks you've been here, something like that?
Yeah.
Somewhere around that. And in that 14-week season, do you know how many times you're in? Because I can't. If I'm honest.
I think it was 11.
Yeah,
Jesus
I think
Christ.
you're right. It was 11. Yeah,
it's just insane. Like I just can't keep up with it.
It's so good, isn't it? And you're also aiming for somebody else's target for consecutive weeks lost as well, aren't you?
Yeah. I'm hyper competitive, and Matt Waterman instilled how many weeks he's lost in a row in weight. I believe it was 36, and then I've come to realise I think I'm now at 22.
So he lost 36 in a row. Is he actually gained weight yet?
After Christmas he did, yeah.
Yeah, gained weight. So there we go. 36 in a row. Okay.
Yeah,
mate. 22.
I think I'm at 22, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
So is that achievable, Josh, do you reckon? If you got that in, that's the next thing in your crosshairs, is it the next thing in the sight?
Oh yeah, the hyper competitivity won't allow me to not do that now, so I'll have to.
Love it.
I love how you speak like it's a done deal, mate. Don't worry about
it. What's next? So that's another record you're going to take. And in terms of this will be the second season in a row that you've maxed out milestones pretty quickly as well.
Yeah.
So how many milestones did you hit last season in total? 3.
Yes, 3 last season.
And season before?
I got my 5% in the first week of my first full season, so I didn't get any in the one before that.
Right, fine, okay, cool. So in terms of what percentage is your next percentage in target as well for you?
Next one's 25%.
Wow, okay. And do you know what that looks like in terms of how far you are in kg away from it?
I think I'm 4 kilos away.
Yeah, amazing.
So
yeah, no pun intended, but you'll chew through that so quickly. Like because of the consistent levels that you do it at, it will be realistically worst case it'll be 3 weeks.
Well,
I reckon best case you'll do it in 2.
Because you said 22 weeks you've lost now. You've lost 44 kilos exactly.
Yeah.
So 2 a week is, in my mind, I don't think it's been done an average of 2 a week, if I'm honest, or I could be wrong. For this length of time, at least.
Yeah.
It's just absolutely insane. Like, really, props to you, man, because that's really, really impressive. Jack's kind of answered the question. Well, you've kind of answered the question. But what's your current goal? What's your next goal, next target? Is it the 36 in a row? Is it the next percentage? Is it just I want to hit this week? How do you think about it?
My big one is to hit 10 stone loss, which I'm only 18 kilos away from. So
wow. That blows my mind, by the way. Just to say I'm only 18 away, which is still a significant amount of weight, but to be only 18 away from 10 stone is just so good. It's just incredible.
You're 2.7, 2.8 stone away from 10 stone, but even so, that's
it's crazy.
10 stone, double digits, man. That's just insane to me. What I think's really amazing, and I know I wasn't the size of you when you joined, but my thought process is simply I can't lose that. Like that 10 stone, like even what you've lost now, if I lost 44 kilos, I'd be about 10 kilos under maintenance.
Yep.
You know, like that's where that's just not even physically possible for me.
Yeah.
And I think that's and in such little time, it's just absolutely, in my mind, it's just crazy. Like it's so impressive.
Yeah.
But I still haven't wrapped my head around it. It's just that's what and I've been in this league now for 2.5 years now, and it's not like I haven't seen this kind of thing, but it's just.
Put it into perspective, Josh. Obviously, Josh Davis. Obviously, you've met my daughter Taylor. It's basically Josh has lost carrying around my daughter in weight. Like you've lost a 10-year-old child.
Just
like walking.
It's probably not the way we want to keep looking.
Climbing on your back, like walking around with them. Do you know what I mean? It's just phenomenal.
Well,
mate. And
as Steve would say, you've lost a Kylie.
Yeah, there we
go.
Lost
a Kylie. I think she weighs about that. So you've lost a Kylie Minogue.
Oh, okay. Maybe you haven't lost my daughter then, because my daughter definitely doesn't weigh the same as Kylie Minogue. She's literally only 10 and is stick thin. Maybe she's
Kylie
a little bit less.
Minogue is like genuinely tiny. That's the whole point.
Fair point.
But point. She weighs 46 kilos. So there you go, mate. Next week you'll have lost a Kylie. And I'll make sure Steve writes it in his bloody report.
Yeah, he'll hear this, so yeah, he'll definitely know. So yeah, just incredible, mate. What I'm trying to think of any other questions. I think we've covered a lot of it. In terms of your achievements, what your targets are. Do you find one thing? Sorry to jump in, Josh. I know you've got one. You mentioned about like short-term and long-term targets. Do you like having both, or do you like having that long-term target as kind of like so long that it feels achievable, but not that you're going to let off the gas? Or what do you think to that?
So I know that some people won't see it the same, but I think my short-term targets are almost my percentages because they're closer to where I'm at.
Yeah.
And then my longer-term goals are like the 10 stone, and then wherever I need to get to after that will be like my next long-term target.
Yeah.
My short-term target is I've always figured out how much I need to lose until my next percentage as soon as I hit the next percentage.
Sick. Yeah. Okay.
So every week I'll ask Steve how far I'm off, or I'll do the maths myself and figure it out based off what I initially weighed, and then go from there. Just because I think having the short-term goals incentivizes you to kind of push that a little bit harder to try and do it.
Yeah.
And I think another big thing for me is you were talking about a walking pad and things like that. A major thing for me in terms of the motivation is not having to look at like a weight grade of something before buying it.
Okay.
Which, being at what I was before, if you wanted to buy like a walking pad, like walk pad, you can't buy it because it's like 40 kilos lighter. And it's almost like demoralizing.
Yeah. Do you know what? I can really relate to that. So my wife brought a couple of like IKEA chairs, and I sit in them, and I really worry because they're like ones without. So I'm kind of drawing things that people can't see what I'm talking about. But so basically, there's no like legs directly underneath it. It's kind of up, and then that's the back. It's almost like it's almost like the letter B, basically, if that makes sense. I feel like if I was to sit back and relax in that chair, it's giving way. I just don't trust that. And I've had similar embarrassing moments on holidays where you know your typical Spanish plastic chair. I've had legs go from underneath me sat on those chairs where I've kind of got too comfortable in it, and that's much like you, that's such an aim for me as well. And also I just about don't need the extra seat belt thing on Ryanair flights.
Yes. Yeah.
And
yeah.
I really don't want to go the other way and need it, because then also you're not allowed the extra legroom seats if you have to have that, because you have to be considered as a mobile person if there's a case of emergency. And it's horrible to think, but you put yourself into that category if you don't. And there's just little targets like that, little things that I completely relate to, mate. You're bang on with that, and that'd be such a good feeling to not have to worry about that sort of thing.
Yeah, 100%.
I didn't even think about that, because I bought a new desk chair recently, and I was thinking to myself, because they're weighted, and they've got 3 or 4 different weight categories, and I'm realizing I didn't even really twig. I was just like, I'm going to have to get the heavy one. I have no point. I've got no choice. I'm going to have to get the one that says rated for over 110 kilos, because I'm over that.
Yeah.
And thinking about it now, I think to myself, God, it would have been nice to not have to get that one, and also pay the extra money for it, because ultimately, it'll save me money, because they're not going to put whatever they put in it to make it stronger in the first place. So I didn't even think about that. So something for me to look at, maybe.
You've got that, and then the aspect of having to buy clothing that's specifically for bigger people, like Bad Rhino or Giacomo and things like that. Like, not having to do that is such a major thing, I think, as well, for confidence. I think starting at the weight I did, like, gradually I tried I got a Tommy Hilfiger hoodie that I haven't worn for about 3 years because it hasn't fit, and I finally can fit back in it.
Nice. Well done for keeping it. That's such I'm awful for throwing stuff away or chucking it on Vinted, and I think if you keep that sort of thing as a target, especially if you spent some money on it, Tommy Hilfiger isn't cheap. Spent some money on some nice clothes. You want to make sure that it fits again at some point.
Yeah. Okay. So what are kind of like the small things you would recommend for anyone still looking for inspiration? Things that you would recommend to people. Is there anything you've learned along your journey that you think is good for new people in particular?
Getting involved in the midweek games as early as possible, that you feel comfortable with the group. I think I put in the main chat earlier, like, even since I started more consistently playing them since the end of December, my fitness has come on leaps and bounds compared to what it was before. I've gone from struggling to run on the Friday to I've now I'm going to be playing 4 times this week. It's a surreal experience to kind of get to that point that you feel able to. Okay.
Is there anything you recommend in, like, diet wise? Because obviously that for fitness and exercise, you see you do quite a bit of walking anyway, and now you're doing 4 nights a week, potentially 4 days a week of football. Is there anything outside of the football that you recommend?
Don't refuse yourself from cravings, because I think if you almost don't satisfy them, they're going to come back as a binge. If you have a craving for some chocolate, have a couple of pieces of chocolate, just don't eat the whole thing. But I think binge eating's people's biggest issue, and mindset is the other one. If you can get in the right mindset and know exactly how much you're going to eat and what you're going to track, that it helps so much.
I guess. I mean, I have to admit, just as from my experience, the weeks where I know exactly what calories I'm putting into my body before I even think about cooking it or eating it, or the days in particular, are the days where I'm much better, and those weeks basically where I manage to do that are always my best weeks, because even if I then do have, as you say, I'll have a Kit Kat chunky. I love a Kit Kat chunky. Don't get me wrong, but I know I can easily fit that into my daily calories and not have to worry about it, because I know exactly what is going on the other time. I know exactly what's going in, and before I've even got there. And so long as I have the mental capacity to be able to hold that, and the determination and drive and the self-discipline, essentially, then ultimately that's always, it's always with mental, isn't it? Self-discipline, ultimately.
100%,
I imagine that's been your biggest, again, not trying to put words in your mouth, but I imagine that's been the biggest thing for you, I guess, is your discipline.
I've said to Jack in the past that I believe weight loss is 90% mindset. I believe that's just as important as the diet itself and the exercise that you do, because if you're not in the right mindset, you're never going to lose the weight, because you're not going to stick to it. If you can have that discipline in yourself and the willpower to be strict on yourself when you need to be, and not so strict on yourself when you don't, then you're kind of onto a winner, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely, mate. Mind over matter, isn't it?
Yeah.
And the understanding the strength of the brain, obviously conversations you have with children as they grow up about talking about the mind being the strongest muscle you have, that dictates everything. If you can get past those difficult barriers and willpower and strength in that sense, you can do anything, you can achieve anything, and you've proven that, mate. And that certainly takes a certain character to do it as consistently and as well as you've done. Well, long may it continue as well, mate. And you won't mind me saying that you're still a way off where you want to be, and you've still got the fire and desire in your belly to do it. And for me, you're a future Hall of Famer for Bournemouth. Maybe Fat Football.
I wonder if Steve will ever start
Super
Hall of Fames. Yeah, I wonder if we should start a Bournemouth Hall of Fame. Dave essentially is the first inductee, isn't he?
Exactly. Yeah, he got that kind of legend status, didn't he? But yeah, you're bang on. I'm sure there's plenty to come to that. But I can see that definitely happening for sure.
Yeah. I did have one last question for you, Josh, before we stop. We move on essentially. Is now that you're settled in the league, you've been here a while. What's your overall impression of the league? Is it something that you can see yourself staying in for a very long time? What's your overall take?
I love it. I look forward to it every Friday. And I intend to be here for a long time.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, well, that's what we like to hear. That's just a reaffirming message. There's
a future captain in you, mate. I'm sure of it.
Yeah, exactly. Put yourself in if you want. Name in the pot when we do rotations, because Steve will ask the question in a few weeks' time when we get towards rotations. Who's interested, in being a captain? No guarantee, of course, because there'll be a few. But
everything you've said today, I think, points towards it, and the ability to share your story and inspire. That's the big thing of it. Huge thing of it. So well done, mate.
Thank you.
Yeah, very well done.
Cheers.
I think for time's sake, we are going to have to call it there, aren't we, for this week, or keep it close to that?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. If that's okay. Yeah. Sorry to.
That's no problem. That is no problem at all. I can't thank you enough for coming on, Josh, and sharing your story so far and how you've done. I can guarantee we'll be having you back on in 6 months' time when you say, I'm down, I've lost 15 stone or something stupid. We'll just be like, so I can already see it happening. So mate, kudos to you for what you've done so far. As you say, you've lost more weight than I can even lose. And what a Kylie, so in 20 odd weeks, and every single week. And I know I joke with you on the sideline. Occasionally I come up to you and go 2.7 or whatever number I throw at you, just randomly out of there. But it's because I have so much confidence that every time I speak to you, I know you've definitely lost some weight and it's not going to be insubstantial.
Yeah.
So, so keep going, mate. Keep going.
Yeah.
You're an inspiration. Genuinely, you're an inspiration. So
thank you. Super proud of you, mate.
I hope you know that, and you understand that people. You might have been here for 20 odd weeks, but people look towards you. People look up to you, mate. They see what you're doing, and
that's a surreal feeling in itself. I think Oscar from Blacks has said about seeing where I'm at and then trying to get to it himself and stuff like that. So that was a surreal feeling.
Exactly what we want to hear, mate. And those sorts of things is the ability to what Steve likes as well, and I'm sure Josh does as an assistant manager, is having. It's easy for Josh and Steve to do it, but assistant coach, sorry. As a you as a figurehead, somebody that they can point to a player towards and say, collar him when you get a chance, have a chat with him, because it's easy for Josh and Steve to say it, and it's not always it comes from a genuine place, but some people will take it with a pinch of salt because they go, oh, you're employed by them, or their thought process is that. You as somebody that's been through that process and done so well with it, it's just exactly what the club needs. So anybody that is struggling, and I've had conversations with you and you've been so good in the chat as well and opened my eyes to stuff, and I've been doing it for 3.5 years or whatever it is. You really what we need, and if we could have a whole league full of Josh Buxtons, we'll be a very, very good place, mate. I promise you that.
Indeed. Yeah. Well, thank you again for coming on, mate.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Really appreciate your time.
Top man.
And,
thank you very much, everybody, for tuning in and listening. Please put yourselves forward, even if you're a brand new member and you'd like to join us on the pod one week. Josh, I'm sure next week we'll catch up with Ben on some fantasy football. I appreciate that it was probably a good one to have him on this week to talk about the people that have triple captain Salah and what's happened. But we'll come back to that. Mull it over when the dust is settled on the triple captain, and we'll see what happens. I've just seen that Liverpool were winning 1-0 in the League Cup semi-final as well, so it's all square. So that looks like it's on.
Another double game week coming then. Oh well.
Yeah.
Anyway,
that's the one to keep an eye on, definitely.
We'll come back to it next week. Thanks.
Thank you again, Josh, and thank you everybody. And I will catch you, Josh Buxton. I'll see you later. Josh Davis, I'll see you tomorrow.
Thank you very much.
Cheers, chaps. Bye.